When Prince Harry and Meghan Markle made the life-changing decision to step back from the royal family, their intention was never to disappear from public life. Instead, they were clear about wanting to build something new, something meaningful, and something rooted in service. They envisioned an independent and progressive role that allowed them to combine philanthropy, storytelling, and advocacy in a way that felt authentic to their values and reflective of the causes closest to their hearts. 6 years on, it is impossible to argue that they have not tried to live up to that ambition. Through the Archewell Foundation and their wider work, Harry and Meghan have consistently supported initiatives focused on mental health, gender equality, racial justice, community resilience, and humanitarian relief. Their efforts have not gone unnoticed. The couple have been honoured with major awards, including being named Humanitarians of the Year and receiving the prestigious Robert F. Kennedy Human Rights Ripple of Hope Award. These recognitions are not handed out lightly. They are awarded to individuals who demonstrate a sustained commitment to social change, not just fleeting gestures. However, the Sussex journey has never been smooth or free from criticism. Their attempt to balance celebrity visibility with genuine humanitarian action has often been scrutinised in a way that few public figures experience. Every appearance, every statement, and every act of support is dissected, questioned, and in some cases deliberately misinterpreted. One of the most controversial moments in recent memory came in the aftermath of the devastating Los Angeles wildfires of January 2025. The fires that tore through the City of Angels were nothing short of catastrophic. Beginning on January 7, 2025, the inferno ripped through neighborhoods with terrifying speed and intensity. 31 people lost their lives. Thousands of homes were destroyed. Entire communities were reduced to rubble, leaving families displaced, traumatized, and grieving not only for loved ones but also for the loss of everything they had built. It was one of the darkest moments in the city's recent history. In the days following the disaster, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle were filmed at the Pasadena Community Center, which had been turned into an evacuation hub. They were seen distributing food packets, speaking quietly with local volunteers and emergency responders, and hugging victims who were still visibly shaken by what they had endured. On the surface, these actions aligned perfectly with what many people expect from public figures during times of crisis. Yet the reaction was swift and, in some quarters, vicious. Critics accused the couple of being disaster tourists and ambulance chasers. Among the loudest voices was actress Justine Bateman, who posted a scathing message on X. She claimed that Harry and Meghan were no better than ambulance chasers, describing their presence as a repulsive photo opportunity. She questioned whether they were politicians now and dismissed them as tourists, insisting that they did not live there and had no place at the disaster site. The footage of the Sussexes alongside Pasadena Mayor Victor Gordo, broadcast live on Fox LA, only intensified the backlash. Royal commentators, social media critics, and sections of the press framed the visit as a publicity stunt rather than an act of solidarity. The narrative quickly became that Harry and Meghan were drawing attention to themselves instead of centering the victims. But this version of events ignores crucial context. According to sources close to the couple, Harry and Meghan had been volunteering and supporting relief efforts long before the media caught wind of their involvement. They were not there to stage a moment for the cameras. They were there because Meghan is a Los Angeles native, and because the devastation struck at the heart of a place that is deeply personal to her. Los Angeles is not just a city she once lived in. It is where she was born, raised and shaped into the woman she is today. In a rebuttal issued to Page 6, an insider described the accusations as offensive. The source emphasized that Los Angeles is, and always will be, home to the Duchess. To suggest that her presence during one of the city's worst tragedies was merely performative was not only unfair, but deeply hurtful. For Meghan and Harry, the idea that compassion and action are automatically assumed to be cynical when they are involved speaks to a broader issue they have faced for years. During their visit, the Sussexes were seen working alongside José Andrés, the founder of World Central Kitchen. This organization is globally respected for providing free hot meals to communities affected by disasters. Harry and Meghan were not leading the operation or positioning themselves as saviours. They were supporting existing efforts, distributing food parcels and lending their presence to boost morale. For many victims, a kind word or a moment of human connection can matter just as much as material aid. Despite this, criticism continued. On the Daily Mail podcast Palace Confidential, royal editor Rebecca English acknowledged that the backlash was understandable from the perspective of people who were still processing immense loss. She pointed out that seeing photographs of Harry and Meghan touring devastated areas while homeowners had not yet been allowed back to assess the damage could understandably cause anger. People were desperate, grieving and raw. Emotions were running high. That perspective deserves empathy, but it does not automatically make Harry and Meghan's actions wrong. The suggestion that public figures should stay away from disaster zones altogether raises an important question. When celebrities use their platforms responsibly, they can bring resources, attention and support that might otherwise be lacking. The key issue is intent and impact, not visibility alone. Charlotte Griffiths, editor-at-large of the Mail on Sunday, argued that the couple ended up drawing attention to themselves and described Justine Bateman's criticism as harsh but fair. She suggested that there was already sufficient attention on the wildfire and that Harry and Meghan's presence was unnecessary. But this argument overlooks the reality that attention does not always translate into sustained support. Media coverage fades, donations slow. Rebuilding takes years, not weeks. Harry and Meghan did not simply show up for a single afternoon and then move on. In the wake of the wildfires, they donated to relief efforts through their Archewell Foundation. They opened their Montecito home to friends and loved ones who were forced to evacuate. They used their website to urge people to check in on elderly and disabled neighbours, recognising that the most vulnerable are often the most overlooked in times of crisis. Meghan also made a significant professional decision that underscored her priorities. She postponed the release of her Netflix series With Love, Meghan, pushing the premiere from January 15 to March 4th. In her statement, she explained that she wanted to keep the focus on the needs of those impacted by the wildfires in her home state of California. In an industry driven by schedules, contracts, and relentless promotion, delaying a major release is not a small gesture. It reflects a conscious choice to step back and allow space for collective healing. Perhaps the most telling response to the criticism came not from press statements or royal experts, but from the people directly affected by the fires. Meghan later visited the Pasadena Girls Fire Recovery Fund, an initiative set up by 14-year-old Avery Colvert to support teenage girls who had lost everything. The Archewell Foundation donated to the organisation, and Meghan's involvement went far beyond writing a cheque. Avery later spoke to Marie Claire about the experience, describing Meghan as very kind. She recalled how the Duchess brought bags of clothing from her own closet and even received stylist training so she could help the girls choose outfits that made them feel confident and seen. For teenagers grappling with trauma, displacement and loss, this kind of care can be transformative. Avery explained that for all the girls who came in, they were styled by Meghan Markle. Some were so overwhelmed by the Duchess's presence and kindness that they broke down in tears. These were not tears of fandom. They were tears of relief, validation and gratitude. In those moments, Meghan was not a celebrity or a royal. She was a woman showing up for other women and girls in a time of profound need. Pasadena Mayor Victor Gordo also offered a perspective that cuts through much of the noise. Speaking to Fox LA, he praised the Sussexes for buoying the spirits of first responders. He said they wanted to be as helpful as they could and were genuinely supportive. According to the mayor, Harry and Meghan took the time to meet people who had been affected, listen to their stories, and spend meaningful time with them. He emphasized that they visited burned-out houses in Pasadena and Altadena and spoke directly with those who had lost their homes. His description of the couple was simple but powerful. They are caring people who are very concerned for their friends and neighbours. This assessment comes from a local leader who witnessed their actions firsthand, not from an armchair critic on social media. The backlash against Harry and Meghan during the wildfire crisis reveals a deeper double standard. When other celebrities visit disaster zones, their presence is often framed as compassionate or inspirational. When Harry and Meghan do the same, it is scrutinized for hidden motives. This is not to say that public figures should be immune from criticism, but the reflexive assumption of bad faith says more about the critics than it does about the couple. Harry's life has been shaped by humanitarian work from a young age. From walking through minefields with his mother to founding the Invictus Games for wounded veterans, service is not a new or convenient role for him. Meghan, long before becoming a duchess, was involved in advocacy, volunteering, and using her voice to speak out on issues of inequality. Their post-royal life has been an extension of these commitments, not a sudden rebrand. The idea that they are attempting to act as American royals misunderstands their approach entirely. They are not seeking constitutional roles or political power. They are operating as private citizens with a global platform, choosing to engage where they feel they can make a difference. That will always involve visibility, because attention is one of the tools they have. The challenge is using it responsibly, and by all credible accounts from those on the ground, they did exactly that. In moments of crisis, there is no perfect script for how to show up. Every action will be judged, especially when performed by people as polarizing as Harry and Meghan. But when the noise fades and the headlines move on, what remains are the tangible impacts: meals distributed, funds donated, spirits lifted, teenagers given a sense of dignity and care when they needed it most. The Los Angeles wildfires were a tragedy that exposed vulnerabilities in infrastructure, emergency response, and social safety nets. They also exposed how quickly compassion can be questioned when it comes from certain individuals. Harry and Meghan's response, while imperfect in the eyes of some, was rooted in empathy, generosity, and a genuine connection to the community. Ultimately, the most important voices in this story are not royal experts, podcast commentators, or actors on social media. They are the victims who felt seen, the volunteers who felt supported, the first responders whose spirits were buoyed, and the young girls who found comfort and confidence in the aftermath of devastation. By those measures, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle did exactly what they set out to do when they stepped into their independent life. They showed up, they helped, and they cared.